Welcome back to the Wisdom of Jacob's Ladder. I'm your host, Jacob Cooper, best-selling author of Life After Breath and the Wisdom of Jacob's Ladder. For those of you who are new to my podcast, please consider supporting the channel by hitting that subscribe button and sharing your comment in the comments section below. You can also follow the audio syndicated podcast version on mindbodyspirit.fm. Well, welcome to 2026 to all of my listeners. I apologize for a little bit of delay. I was a little bit ill the last couple weeks, but here I am, strong and healthy and ready to go. Well, I have a great guest for you today. Her name is Dr. Bonnie Buckner. She's a dreamwork, expert, and she's going to be discussing all things dreams and ways to unlocking the secrets and some of the mystiques behind your dream to have them as a part of your everyday guiding system in life. And row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. All kidding aside, that is a very powerful nursery rhyme. But here we are, coming full steam ahead into 2026 with a very powerful topic on ways to unlock the mysteries behind your dream and have them to be a part of your everyday life. So, without further ado, we bring on Dr. Bonnie Buckner on the wisdom of Jacob's Ladder. Welcome to the Wisdom of Jacob's Ladder, Dr. Bonnie Buckner. Such an honor to see you here today. How are you?
Jacob, thank you so much for having me. I'm great. Thank you.
Yeah, Dr. Buckner, you are really a trailblazer in all things dreams, from definitely an educator standpoint and really bringing out a lot of things that people don't know in more of a mainstream manner. But before we get into your profound work, can you tell us a little bit of a closer look at Dr. Bonnie Buckner and how you came, into your passion of studying all things dreams and imagery and, helping guiding a lot of people to really integrate and, synergize all these things of the higher mind?
I started thinking about dreams when I was a kid, and I had been having all these nightmares. And there was a moment where I was sitting out on our front steps in the morning and sort of
Mm,
thinking about these nightmares I kept having. And I went through all these different kid thoughts, like I'll never sleep again, like because I didn't want to have these nightmares. And it just sort of, like, hit me in that moment of, "Oh, I just have to figure it out." I mean, because I have to sleep, so I'm gonna have to figure out what these nightmares are about and, like, overcome them, and
mm,
that's what I'm here to do. I'm gonna help other people do that.
mm,
So, I it was kind of always in the back of my mind, and then, my dad and my grandmother talked to me a lot about dreams and imagery, and my dad gave me some imagery exercises, and I just kind of went through life hoping I would find my dream teacher, and I did. I studied with Dr. Catherine Shainberg, and I'll tell you that the work that I studied is a very ancient lineage of dreams, and so it goes all the way back to the 13th century. It was modernized by a woman named Colette Albuquerque-Muscat, and Catherine was one of her students, and so I studied with Catherine for about 10 years and, have been then, doing it as work and studying it and looking at it in different angles ever since.
hmm. Wow, fascinating. So you go very deep in a very deep world, so to speak. For people who have dreams, what do you feel is behind them from a potential psychological, or for some may look at it more on a spiritual basis? What's your overview understanding of dreams and what they're here to show us or maybe to tell us from the ground up kind of thing?
Yeah, so if you think about it, dreams are made from images, and, one of the things that we say is that every aspect of the dream is an aspect of the dreamer. So, our body has ideas and thoughts and understandings and intuitions
Mhm.
and has, understandings of abstract things like love. We can't touch it. We know it's there. It's kind of like wind. We know it's there when it moves. something.
Mhm.
So we know love is there. It moves us in our body. And so, what our body does is it creates images for all of these emotions and feelings and understandings that we have so that we can see them because otherwise they're intangible. So, everything about this existence, let's say, is we are living in an existence of form. And it's about bringing things into form. And we understand form very well. We're constantly making things. We see each other, and each other is a certain form. So, what images do is put into a certain kind of form these very abstract things like love or like, anger or anxiety or whatever it might be. And so by looking at it and by being able to see it, we can do something with it. We understand it, we can speak to it, and we can do something with it. And this is not really anything new. It's just that we don't think about it. But all day long, we're sending each other emojis to express something, and they're emojis that express feelings and sentiments and things like this. And we're also using metaphors and descriptive speech and saying things like I was giving a talk a couple of days ago and we were talking about work feeling like a prison. Well, that's an image. It's me locked into something or, one of my energies locked into something. So, dreaming in that way is explaining back to us how we're feeling about the life we're living. It
Hmm.
also includes hidden potential because none of us can at any given moment fully live all that we're capable of fully living. So there's always little pieces of our life where, we put on lots of different hats. We put on the, okay, I'm going to work hat. And then it's I'm a sister hat. And then it's we put on these different things. And so there's always some kind of hidden potential in us. And usually that hidden potential is a part of ourself that we've put aside or we haven't really gotten to know very well. So maybe it's a part that really likes to do something, or maybe it's just a courageous part of ourself. That mysterious element is also going to show up in a dream. And if we learn how to recognize that, then we can bring that potential forward and make it, come to fruition in waking time.
Hmm. Fascinating. Yes. I like that you discuss the symbolism and metaphor that we operate from and some of the subconscious linguals that we have that really speak to higher truth, so to speak. Um, in I guess what I'm trying to ask is, a lot of people ask me like, what's reality versus what is a dream? And that's a fascinating concept. Do you view this world as reality and something else as a dream, or this is a dream and then there's another reality?
So I don't even use those terms
Mm,
because the term that I use is that all of our life is a subjective experience
mhm,
and our task is meaning making.
mhm,
So if you and I, Jacob, if you and I are going to a concert and we're in two different seats, at the end of the concert, we're going to have two different ways of describing what we've just seen. Does that mean that yours is real and mine is not?
mhm,
No. It means that we've had two different experiences based on our subjective personal viewpoint. And then to add on top of that, I might say, wow, that was so meaningful to me. I cried when that woman sang that song. And you might say, oh, I thought it was super cheesy. Does that mean that you're right and real, quote unquote, and I'm not? No, it's a subjective experience. And I've
mhm.
just made meaning of that experience for me, and you've made meaning of it for you. So I don't know how many people are in this planet now, 8 billion something. There's like 8 billion quote unquote
Mm,
realities. And we're
mhm,
also experiencing a certain experience together. So I prefer to use the word experience than
Mhm.
reality, and I think it frees people up a whole lot when they let go of that word.
Mhm. Yeah. It's a lot more personal freedom for each person, to explore. So I do like that. For people who are having dreams and wanting to better understand them or even remember, their dreams, I get that a lot from my clients where they're just having this profound dream and then they just wake up, not able to remembering it or maybe understand the deeper meaning. Do you have, any references or tools that you try to educate the public on just in terms of maximizing and integrating, their own dreams?
Yeah, I mean, I wrote a book called The Secret Mind, and the whole book is to put tools in the hands of people to starting from, how do you remember your dreams, all the way to um, going into meaning making of those dreams. And so, a very easy thing to tell your listeners, remembering our dreams begins with the intention to remember our dreams, and always making sure that we have, as a making good on that intention, that we have a journal and a pen by our bed. So
Mhm,
when we wake up, we need to just simply write down in that moment everything we remember. And sometimes people get hung up on the fact of I know it was so much more and it was like a long story, but I don't remember. It doesn't matter. Write down whatever you do remember. And from this perspective, definitely from how I see it, there's one image can be a dream. So if people wake up with a snippet of a song or just a feeling, write it down. It's a dream.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, yeah, that's a wonderful suggestion. I encourage all my clients, whether they're waking up or they are in the awakened state, in their own lives to carry that pen, because I do believe also we get a lot of these creative hits or downloads or inspirations, and tangibilizing that is so important, being able to have the language for it. So really good so that people are able to start their day and remember in front of them and not like have that kind of exist in the datives of their minds. So I do like that type of suggestion. I know, like, let's say, in traditional tarot cards per se, there's images, on some of the cards. And I don't know, for instance, the death card, let's just say. And sometimes people get that, they tend to freak out. They're like, oh my God, this and that. And at times, it can mean transformation. Is there a language or image of dreams that maybe um, goes differently than the ones that we speak? Is it all to be taken at face value, or have you found that it's not always symmetrical with the images and languages that we speak in, the waking state?
Well, we definitely do learn our own image vocabulary. So, again, in that talk that I was giving a couple of nights ago, this one woman said, I started writing my dreams and I was having, some anxiety at the time. And over time, writing my dreams, I realized, first of all, I was beginning to visualize exactly what it was that I was anxious about. So then that changes the experience of it. But secondly, she was like, I then realized, oh, I have my own sort of image vocabulary. This is how I think about anxiety. And there are other things that kept showing up. So there is no such thing as a symbol in this dream work. In this dream work, there are images, and those images are telling us something about a very specific context and placement in the dream and our own experience with it. So, for some people, they run to a dream journal and they start a dream encyclopedia and they start flipping through the pages, and maybe they've had a dream about a spider. And then they read it and they say, but those symbols don't mean anything to me because I'm thinking about Charlotte's Web and the messages that spiders, because that book was so important to me when I was a young person. So it's our experience in life that's creating all of these images, and so we have to go with just our own understanding of it and not a one size fits all. But I wanna come back to the death card because here's a really great example of an important part of dreaming. You talked about the death card and how people might freak out. The thing
Mhm,
is, we get often freaked out by that first prominent image and the more negative image because in the death card that however which version of tarot someone has, a skeleton, right? But in the
mhm,
Rider-Waite version, for example, what most people miss is there's a little girl holding up flowers who's not dying. So it's
mm,
that little aspect that if we get sucked into the emotion and we become afraid of something, we miss seeing that hidden potential, which is speaking
mhm,
to exactly what you said, which is that death is about transformation. There's this young, new energy that is flowering underneath,
mhm,
really almost underneath the hoof of the horse of death. So, part of dreaming, I have people come to me frequently and they say, "Oh my gosh, I've had a nightmare. Can we please work on this?" And it's not a nightmare at all. It just has one nightmarish element to it that is particularly frightening. But the rest of it is speaking to all of this potential. So,
mm,
one of the lessons for everybody is to start to really look into if something scared you about your dream, go back to it at the end of the day because after we've
mhm,
lived a day, it's a little less scary. And just read it out loud. And maybe there's that one nightmarish element, but what are the other elements that you may have missed? And kind of zoom in on those a little bit and the feeling of those. And that can open out a dream.
mm. Yeah, I all the above, check, check, check. I really do agree with that, and yes, you're right. A lot of people they see that image, they get caught up on that, and they're not able to see the full picture. And that's the same thing with death. It as well. Being someone who's had a near death experience, so I could speak to that. A lot differently for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
is for people who are, let's say, constantly having negative dreams that may represent unresolved issues. Um, is there like a way that we could have better dreams at night by changing our state during the day and improving our own emotional baseline and how we feel inside? Or is it just kind of like some people are just prone to negative, well, not negative dreams, but more distressing dreams in the moment, than others? I mean, I know I find it's very rarely that I have a very pleasant dream. It's always distressing dream after distressing dream with always, like, a bit of relief at the end that it gets resolved, um but yeah, just from personal, professional standpoint, what does that mean if you're constantly having something a little bit distressing as a theme, in your dreams?
Yeah. So the thing is, we can change our dreams and we change it by interacting with it. So these are images that are wanting us to interact with them. So
Mhm,
again, this class I gave a couple of days ago, this woman brought up the exact same question and said, what if you have a dream that you're being chased by something? And I said, so
mhm,
what is the opposite of that? And she goes,
mm,
turning around and facing it. And I said, so now put that back into your life. And she goes, oh my gosh, I'm running away from something and I have to turn around and face it. And I said, listen, that is so human. Right now, I have to prepare all the business taxes. And anyone who's listening to this right now is going through the same thing,
Yep,
sending out 1099s and all that. I
yep,
hate it. I'm a dreamer. I hate math. I hate accounting. I hate it.
mhm,
I also don't want to face it. I want to put my head in the sand and
mhm,
just ignore that my accountant sent me an email. But the
mhm,
thing is, I can't ignore it because eventually that deadline's gonna be here and I'll be
mhm,
penalized for ignoring it.
yep,
And the longer I ignore it, the more my anxiety mounts because I know that deadline is there.
mhm,
I know I've got to deal with it. I know it's gonna take me several hours. I know I'm probably gonna feel kind of not the world's best mood when I do it. So this is an example of running from something. The reason our dreams make it so dramatic in many cases is because if it wasn't, we wouldn't wake up and pay attention and do
mhm,
something about it. So,
mhm, Mhm,
By making something overly dramatic, it tells us, this is sucking a lot of your energy. Like every day that I
mm,
delay actually just dealing with it and sending something back to my accountant, it's sucking energy from me, which is not useful. So by
mhm.
having this sort of like distressing dream to like wake me up, I can like stop, turn around, face it, deal with it. And then that relief comes. Like you said, if you resolve something in your dream, it's followed by relief.
Yes, yes. I guess, dream world is trying to tell us that the way out is through, not around, not like in order to really overcome something, you have to, go through it, right? So it makes a lot of sense, yeah.
But you have to face it in some way. There's a lot of ways to get over, around, under, through something.
Mhm,
But being, stagnant, just sitting in these anxieties or
mhm.
irritations or any of these kinds of energies, it just takes away from our own creativity and our own ability to solve those problems, the very problems that we're wanting to solve.
Yeah. On a personal level, I mean, have you noticed, differences when people try to engage a little bit differently with their dreams, or they're able to find, meaning to integrate in their lives? Do you find traction that it has in a positive way from, your own personal life to, I'm sure people that you've interacted with, and once they're given the tools and, maybe, better approaches towards towards dreams in a way?
Absolutely. So I find that, most people begin dream work having a fair
Mhm,
amount of dreams with, as you put it, distressing elements. And then as they learn the tools for how to interact with their dreams, I gave you a scenario of like
mhm,
applying it to my waking time, but there's also a way that we can interact with the dream itself.
mhm,
And once they begin to do that and they begin to draw the connections between their dream and their waking time, and they see how their energy is changing and how their waking time relationships with other people and their work and everything is
mhm,
changing. It's like cleaning a house. That opens up more room to receive a clear dream or even a great dream, some kind of experience in our sleep that brings about a sense of awe and wonder. And
mhm,
that in itself opens us out to a completely different experience. I just wrote a blog for I have a blog on Psychology Today online called The Secret Mind. And I just wrote a piece on awe and wonder and how that's been shown to reduce somatic health symptoms when we have that experience. It increases curiosity that drives creativity, it increases academic outcomes, it increases employee resilience. Just that feeling that, oh, wait, wow, that feels great. I'm expanded and there's something else possible.
mm. I love that degree of curiosity and awe. I always give that analogy where, there was once a planet that people saw that was flat, and then through curiosity, we found that wasn't the case, and I think that tangibilizes, like, this physical reality, and it gives people, just the understanding of all these things that we don't see, and the, empowerment that it could have and the worlds that it could open. So I love that curiosity, although for a lot of people, that becomes a little bit of a vulnerability too, because you open yourself up to something maybe differently than you haven't seen, and a lot of people would rather sit and, de-stress than liberate themselves, if you will, you know?
Well, I mean, I think that's one of the great things about dreaming is because we can't um, choose. We don't have a menu and we can't scroll through and choose what kind of dream we're going to have. And
Mhm,
dreams work to our advantage that way. Dreams are really nature's gift as part of our own self healing mechanism. And so we're kind of, caught unaware. It's like, wow, okay, I just had this experience of awe and wonder
mhm,
and I can't unring the bell. I'm better for it. I'm a much healthier human being.
mhm,
And there you have it. you know,
mhm.
you
Yeah,
can't protest it. You can't shut the computer off. You're better for it.
mhm. I just love everything that you're obviously saying. From and obviously there's a psychological component when it comes to all things of the theater of dreams. Is there a mystical side, that dreams may potentially have? For instance, I have had these encounters and clients, speak about a lot of these spirit visitation dreams, or they're communicating with like maybe an angel or a guide. I don't know if that is, beyond, your scope or anything that you could speak to in it, but is there, a mystical element that dreams can potentially have to us? And if so, like, what have you noticed about that? What is it trying to show us?
Yeah, I think, first of all, almost every time I'm interviewed, people ask me about visitation dreams. And
Mhm.
I have people who are CEOs in suits that you would see walking down the street and not think that there's someone who's had a visitation dream. And they talk to me about a visitation dream and they talk about it kind of quietly. And they ask me, do you think it's a visitation dream? And I say back to them, you do. And so I do. I do.
Mhm.
I've had them myself. And, will we one day find out that it's maybe something else? Maybe. I don't know. I experience it as a visitation dream. They experience it as a visitation dream. It is.
Mhm.
And I think one of the things that says to us is we call it mystical
Mhm.
because we're experiencing it in rare moments and it feels very spiritual and beyond the everyday.
Mhm.
I find, and I see this with students who've been doing dreaming for a long time, that there is this marvelous dimension to waking time that we don't allow ourselves to see because we're running all the time
Mhm.
and there's so much noise. We're
Mhm.
constantly filling our time with searching Google, going on LinkedIn, watching Netflix. If we were really quiet, if we take a very long, quiet walk in the woods, we may have a mystical experience.
Mhm.
So, the thing about dreaming is it's a moment in time where the noise that we surround ourselves with is shut off.
Mm. Yeah, I love that. It makes sense. I mean, I don't know your thoughts on this, but I, you know, kind of think to myself like, all these beautiful messages I do believe are around us, and they're not just showing up because we're in our comfy beds at night and our salt lamps are on, and they all of a sudden decide to come at 2 or 3 in the morning. I mean, I believe that a lot of it is because a lot more quiet, as you said, and the brain is getting, into those deeper, brainwave states where the brainwave vibrations are probably lower and you're getting into those deeper delta or maybe those theta stages or somewhere in between. Is that something you would agree with too? Like these things, these messages are all around us. It's just we're open to it because we come, like you said, a little bit more quiet within our brainwaves.
Yeah, I mean, all we have to do is to, maybe many of your listeners do meditation. That's another path. That's another way to having
Mhm.
um, spiritual experiences and spiritual development. Um, the thing about dreaming is, as you were speaking about the brain, our executive network that does all of the editing and the critical analysis and
Mhm.
thinking and goal directed thinking is
Mhm.
taken offline when we're
Mhm.
dreaming. So we're totally open to experience. And that's, a moment that allows us to just experience something without shutting it down, without trying to um, analyze it or critique it or judge it or all the many things we do that limit ourselves.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
when we practice paying attention to our dreams, we're practicing being open to things, being open to the self. And we can take that same practice into our regular waking time. And
Mhm.
when presented with something, it goes back to that tarot card example we were talking about earlier. I'm going to have a very quick flash first perspective, but that's not the
Mhm.
only perspective there. And if I have a dreaming practice, my next thing is okay, how can I open myself to now look? What are the other perspectives available in this moment? And just that is life changing.
Yeah. Mm. Being in that state of awe as you refer to, being
Mm.
curious, exploring it, deeper and deeper, and, I do love that. I always say the higher you go, the more you can see. I guess the deeper you go, the more you could find in dream world, yeah. Real cool. Um, One of my last questions, I know you touched a little bit about this, was your book, which seems, very powerful. I absolutely love the title, kinda like The Secret Garden, The Secret Mind, you know? Can you tell us a little bit about, the book and that beautiful title that you have and, what kind of got you to the point of just getting it out there? Because having written 2 books myself, I know it's not easy. Takes a lot of, chutzpah or courage to be able to do that and, strength and consistency, but, tell me a little bit about the processing of The Secret Mind and what's in store a little bit more for, readers who are interested in learning more about The Secret Mind.
Yeah, so The Secret Mind is really truly a book for people to begin their dreaming practice and then go ever deeper with it with each chapter.
Mhm,
And I really took a tactic of, um, we create our life, we create ourselves, we dream ourselves into being, if you will. And we're constantly making creative decisions in our everyday. We're creatively figuring out how to pay our bills, how to plan a vacation, how to move into a new phase of our life. And we're also creating our own self through the choices and the decisions we make. And so that creating, um, we can either make it super narrow or we can open it wide up and we can allow ourselves to create ourselves bigger than what we thought was possible. And dreaming is a way of doing that, not only to encounter those hidden potentials in us, like I mentioned
mhm,
earlier, but also to face the things that are blocking us because usually the things that narrow us are things that have worked before but no longer work. An example of
mhm,
that is when we're kids, there's challenges all over the place. We're challenged by going to school. We're challenged by, all these new things that we're learning. Somewhere along the way, we learn patterns of dealing with those challenges, and they work really well as a kid. Maybe we're the class cut up and we're always making jokes and we're making people laugh, and it takes the heat off of us a little bit. But then when we become adults, that same behavior may not work for us.
mhm.
And so we have to, look at these kinds of behaviors and constantly be ready to let them go. I'm going to bring this all the way back to the tarot card that you mentioned because that's kind of the theme of our talk
Mhm.
today.
You like that,
Dying.
don't you? Yeah.
I do. I love it. I do
Yeah.
love it. So, dying to an old identity. And actually, there is a very old midrash story that Alexander the Great asked a rabbi, what must one do to truly live? And the rabbi
Mhm.
said, one must die
One must die to live. Hmm,
to truly
yeah.
live. We have to slough off these old identities and be willing to allow new parts of ourselves to emerge. And it's exciting when we've, you know, um, opened
Let go of
ourselves
that
up.
shell. Mhm,
Yeah, and when we've, opened ourselves up to the realization that we're more than the way we see ourselves right now, and
mhm,
that it's quite possible to expand our range of vision of our own self.
mhm. Yeah, I love it. So in other words, like, be open, be curious, expand. Especially when we're starting the new year, Wayne Dyer always used to have this quote that said, "I'd rather live, 99 years and 1 year 99 times," or something like that. And, each year that you're, going around the sun, you want receipts, like, "How is this a different year? How did I expand? Where did I grow?" Because to me, death is, stagnation. life is regenerative. It continues. It's like this beautiful stream of water that continues itself and so recreates itself. So I do love all that you said and just the expansive nature of dreams and what it can give to each and every one of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do love that quote. In order to die, you must fully live.
No,
Someone that
in
I
order
know
to
that says,
live, you
no,
must
no, that's what I meant.
die.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I got it. Yeah, in order to live. Yeah, I'm not Dr. Kevorkian over here. Yeah, but but
But
yeah,
dying
I have a
is,
friend that
we're
says, in order,
talking in a much more metaphorical sense here, dying to an old side of
not
me,
literal.
which is not
Hmm.
stagnation. In fact, stagnation is not changing. Like it's
Hmm.
hanging on to that thing, even though it's wanting to move on, you know?
Hmm. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Dr. Bonnie, do you have any upcoming courses or things going on? I mean, I know you are really out there on the circuit, making your mark and really educating the masses on very valuable pieces of information in all things dream world. But is there, upcoming events or programs that we'd like to share, with my audience?
Yeah, I teach a lot of classes at the Institute for Dreaming and Imagery, as well as other practitioners of dreaming. Um, we're all teaching the same sort of lineage of dreaming, and there's tons of classes all throughout the year. But we have a lot of because it's the new year. We have a lot of classes starting right now, and I encourage people to go on and look. And there's also a self study dream class, and different ways that you can interact, and we just invite everybody to come and do that.
Love it. And where's the best place that people could find you as well as your book and, these upcoming courses that you just listed?
Yeah, so you can go to the website. International Institute for Dreaming and Imagery is the name of the company, and the website is instituteforDreamingandImagery.com. You can find it on Instagram, which is Dream with IIDI, or you can
Mhm,
go to bonniebuckner.com. You'll find the book there as well and links to the classes. And my Instagram is also bonniebuckner.com, but just write out DOT as the dot.
mhm. Love it. Love it. And all these will be included in our show description as well. No, Bonnie, you've really offered a lot of valuable wisdom and really tools for our viewers to really better understand, engage, within, their own dreams. Is there anything else that you would like to share, particularly as we're starting this new year? Any intuitive messages that may be coming to you or things that you feel would be significant before, we conclude this very powerful and informative conversation?
Yeah, I just encourage everybody. It's a new year. And as you're saying, Jacob, we have this burst of energy to do new things and to be different. And so I just encourage people to get a dream journal and be really open. That's what new is. We have to be really open. There's new all around us, but often we don't see it. So just be really open and write your dreams. And if you notice an inner critic coming in, just push it off to the left and keep being open.
Mhm. Yes, love it, love it. Be open and make sure to, get that pad. That's very, significant. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Buckner, for your generous time and beautiful words. Loved having you on, and I highly encourage all my viewers to check out all things Dr. Bonnie Buckner, as well as her powerful book, The Secret Mind. That is a real game changer from many of the reviews that I looked at. So do check all things Dr. Buckner out. Well, thank you so much for coming on, and we hope we could have you, again here on the channel. I learned so much from your credible journey and information and all the work that you've put into this life.
Yeah, with pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on. It's been really great.
Dr. Bonnie Buckner, thank you again. Well, thank you for tuning into my conversation with Dr. Buckner. I learned so much on a personal level, and I hope you did too, on ways to better understand, engage, and master your dreams to have them to be a guiding component of your life and understanding a little bit of the intentionality and language behind the dreams that we have. So, this is Jacob Cooper signing off here. Please continue to check out our new videos coming your way. We have a lot. We have a wonderful lineup coming in 2026, so stay posted for wonderful guest interviews and content to guide your everyday lives. Thank you very much, and please consider subscribing to support our channel's growth. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time here on the Wisdom of Jacob's Ladder.